Hello, Science Olympiad National Tournament. Congratulations on being here. My name is Alejandro Ramos. I'm currently the Sparks lead at Sparks at Arizona State University. And I have here with me five different students from five different majors at ASU. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about what we do, what we study, how ASU has impacted our lives, and hopefully how it impacts our futures. And we know that this is a Science Olympiad, so most of the students that have joined me today are in the STEM field or science-based degrees. And we hope you enjoy this presentation, and we'll start now. So we'll pass it on to Rachel for the first question. Rachel, could you introduce yourself and give us your Sun Devil story?
Yeah, no problem. Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm a senior in the air traffic management program on the Polytechnic campus. So I'm studying to be an air traffic controller, which is, sort of tangential to, I think, a lot of the engineering and science-based things, but definitely a lot of physics involved in some of that. I am also enrolled in the accelerated 4+1 master's degree program. So I will be earning my master's degree in aviation management and human factors. And my Sun Devil story is I applied to one college and one college only, and it was ASU. And the reason for that is air traffic control is extremely niche. Most people don't even know that that's a degree that's offered. And when people ask me what I'm studying in school, I know that they never expect me to say air traffic control. So it's very, very niche. There are only about 20 institutions in the United States as a whole that are approved by the Federal Aviation Administration. And ASU is one of them. ASU is actually one of the first. And so it made sense. I'm from downtown Phoenix. I live about 40 minutes away from my parents right now by the campus. And so perfect distance for me. I was able to maintain my independence while also being able to visit them and see them when I wanted to, which is really nice for me as well. My brother attended the Polytechnic campus. It was just one of those things for me that kind of fell into place. So from the beginning, I was, Sun Devil through and through, because college application season for me, it was ASU and that was it. That's all I did. And then I was done. So that's about it for me. But I'm a big nerd for airplanes, and that'll probably come out more through this.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rachel. Now we'll pass it on to Mia.
For sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Mia. I'm a junior this year at ASU, and I'm a double major in anthropology and math with a focus in statistics. So my Sun Devil story starts my senior year of high school. ASU was the only out-of-state school I applied to. So I'm originally from Texas, and I applied to about 7 schools. All of them, except ASU, were still in state. But I knew that I wanted to leave and move away as far as I could while still following the sun. So I love the heat, so this was perfect for me. I visited about 3 times before I said, yes, this is where I want to go. But even after my first time, I knew that this is where I wanted to be. I loved the campus. I loved everyone that I met, and I loved the environment. So academically, I came in as a math major. I didn't have the concentration in stats yet. But I kind of picked that just because that's what I was good at in high school, and I wanted to continue and see where that would take me. Now that I'm a junior, I've still stuck with that program, added the stats concentration, and through the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences and ASU, I was able to kind of explore my other interests academically, which is what led me to anthropology. And with that, I am still focusing on the more math and science related subjects within anthropology, which is really cool. So I do have the opportunity to blend both of those programs, even though they seem very, very different. But I love where I am now, and I wouldn't change a thing. So that's kind of what brought me here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mia. Thank you for sharing. And now we'll pass it on to Sai. Tell us about your Sun Devil story.
Good morning, guys, and congrats on your National Science Olympiad qualification. And I'm a freshman here at ASU, so I'm the youngest of the bunch. As you can see, I probably won't have the most experience, but I think I do have some talking points that I could mention. So my Sun Devil story is that, so first and foremost, I'm a computer systems engineer. So this course is more of a hybrid between the computer science degree that we have and electrical engineering. We have some core concepts of software engineering combined with circuit design courses from electrical engineering, giving you a touch of both the hardware and software sides of the industry. So I chose this degree initially because I wanted a good grasp of not only the software side and the implementation with the code behind it, but also how that software implemented on your laptops could affect hardware performance. So it started with my interest in finding out what laptop I wanted to use for my school and gaming days. So knowing the performance and the stories that I needed and why which laptop performed better for the price and its feasibility and this helped me gain a better perspective during my high school days and also made me a bit more interested on learning more about the software and hardware implementation of these devices that we use in our everyday lives. Um, and it wasn't until I chose ASU that I realized that it has a ton of external resources that you can use and a ton of extracurricular activities like Fulton Ambassadors, engineering projects, and community services. These are great programs that help us stay involved in school and are a great touch to your resume. Um, I hope some of these talking points are interesting and that could help you uh, move on and make your decision to come to ASU or not.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sai. You know, video games are a really big thing now, and I feel like a lot of Science Olympiad participants will be able to relate to your story. So thank you. Now we'll pass it on to Catherine. Catherine, go ahead and tell us your story.
Yeah, hi everybody. So my name's Catherine. I am a mathematics major with a psychology minor. I am also a senior, and my Sun Devil story really kind of began. I've really always liked math. I like to say that I knew I was going to major in math when I was 6 with those like addition tables. I'm like, this is fun. I'm just going to keep doing this for the rest of my life, and here I kind of am. So I decided that I wanted to go to ASU after applying to the 3 in-state colleges here, ASU, NAU, and U of A, by laying down in my bed and saying, I'm an NAU student. No, that doesn't sound right. I'm a U of A student. That doesn't sound right. ASU? Yeah, I'm an ASU student. That sounds awesome. That's what I'm going to do. But my Sun Devil story really began when I was like entering college. I have always just been the math student. I hung out with a lot of fine arts people and they weren't really good at math. So every time I was like, go talk to Catherine because she's the math kid. So I went into college saying, oh, I'm going to be the only math kid like I have been growing up. But ASU has been such a wonderful community. I entered college and I got put into this program where they had a bunch of math students all get this like tutorial into ASU where they showed you how to buy food from Memorial Union and how to ask questions about housing if you need a maintenance request and show you all the landmarks at ASU. And I really got to find a group of students who also cared about math with me before I even started taking my courses. So it was really that like short tutorial that paved the way for the rest of my story. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Catherine. And now, last but not least, we'll move on to David. David, tell us about your Sun Devil story and how you got to ASU.
Hello. First of all, congratulations on qualifying and making the Science Olympiad Nationals. My name is David. I am a sophomore studying robotics engineering and software engineering on the Polytechnic campus. My Sun Devil story was quite long. I was actually born and raised in China, and I finished elementary school before moving to the States. After coming to the States and starting middle school, I participated in multiple different extracurriculars, and Science Olympiad was actually one of them. I participated in Science Olympiad throughout middle school and high school and competed at invitationals, state, and we didn't really go to nationals, so unlucky for us, but I really wish I could have done it. And my Sun Devil story was that I actually carried my passion throughout my entire life, wanting to do engineering related activities when I grow up. Science Olympiad, I believe, really helped me build and pinpoint what my interests are. So throughout high school, I was touring campuses and talking to multiple different people and figuring out what I really wanted to do. And I toured multiple different campuses, such as UCLA, UT Austin, and another one that was on the East Coast, I forgot the name of, but I decided to come to ASU, the Polytechnic campus, after visiting because they have so many cool things that I always wanted, such as 3D printers, laser cutters, the shop tools that I want to use ever since I grew up. So after visiting the campus, I decided this is where I want to be. And this is how I became a Sun Devil. So I want to share my experience with you and answering questions that you might have as a person who is involved in Science Olympiad and other activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, David. And I guess I'll go ahead and introduce myself. Again, my name is Alejandro Ramos. I was born and raised in Nogales, Arizona, about 3 miles south of Phoenix at the border of Mexico. Uh, I'm currently a sophomore, going to be a junior in August, studying urban planning with a minor in geographical information systems. And, urban planning has always just been that thing for me since Nogales is a border town. And it's always been a small, you could say very underdeveloped town, not as big as and developed as Phoenix. And I think my dream would just to learn as much as I can about urban planning and go back home and try to make my small little border town look either like a Phoenix or maybe even like an LA one day, hopefully. So thank you everybody for sharing your story. As you guys can see, you guys can notice we're 6 different students with very different backgrounds, very different majors and what we're studying and our interests are at ASU. So hopefully the following questions will help you answer or help you kind of move towards coming towards ASU or help you decide what you want to study in your STEM career, starting off as Science Olympiad participants. So for the first question, we're going to start with David and then we'll go to Sai. David, when did you realize your interest in STEM or your current degree program?
I noticed my interest in STEM programs such as robotics and software engineering when I was participating in extracurriculars in middle school. As you know, in Science Olympiad, you have different events such as the building events, and then there are events that require more like a testing base that you have to study. I really hated testing and taking quizzes and answering questions on a paper. It kind of made me nervous. So I did events that required more building, such as I think bottle rockets, air trajectory, electric vehicles, bridge building, and another event called Game On were my favorite. I noticed that I really love building things instead of taking tests and studying for things. So as a result, I really found my interest in STEM because I was just participating in events and figuring out that I didn't like doing a certain things, but I loved doing certain other things. And that resulted in me studying robotics and engineering on the Polytechnic campus, which is more hands-on and more building and creating with your own hands than actually studying in a classroom and taking notes in lectures and kind of just take tests and test your knowledge. So that's when I realized that STEM was for me. And I actually confirmed that in high school as I did more advanced competitions in robotics and Science Olympiad to confirm that, yes, my interest in STEM is never within testing my abilities on a piece of paper, but more building and demonstrating with devices that I've built and apply those knowledge to compete. So that's when I realized that the degrees here at ASU, especially on the Polytechnic campus, was made for me just to build stuff for fun and then build devices that you like and test your knowledge through building and hands-on activities.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, David. How about yourself, Sai? When did you realize your interest in STEM?
So ever since I've been self-conscious of my future during freshman year of high school or before that, I think for Asians, it's pretty common that you're good at math and science. It's almost hereditary that you're going to be an engineer or a doctor, and you're almost always led to go in that direction. And I guess that was finalized during my high school years when I started to gain a better understanding of software engineering and programming in general. I took some, I took 3 courses in Java, C++, and Python in Udemy, and I just knocked it off during the summer. Had some time with myself, started solving challenges, working on multiple mini projects to realize that this is something I'm interested in. I think I finally uh, found out what I want to do in the near future. And when I joined ASU, I was still not sure about which degree I wanted to go for, whether it was computer science or computer systems engineering. But I guess I spent the first year uh, moving around in clubs such as the mobile devs and soda organizations to gain
Oh,
a
yes.
better understanding of either of these degrees and how what potential career outcomes each of them could lead to. And I chose computer systems engineering because it gave me a better and broader career outcome compared to computer science, with ties both in the computer science, software engineering, and electrical engineering fields.
Perfect.
Hope this
Absolutely. Thanks, Sai. And ASU is completely different. Everybody that has their different interests, every student is different, every person is different. And I'm 100% certain that anything that you find likable or anything that you want to study in the future, I'm 100% sure that ASU has a degree program for you. Moving on to the next question, we'll start with Rachel. Rachel, what did you do during high school to better prepare yourself for college and the university level of education?
Okay, so I currently work as a recruitment assistant for the Fulton Schools of Engineering. And so I have a lot of interactions with prospective high school students, and I hear a big concern a lot of the time is, oh, I'm not prepared enough for engineering. I'm not prepared enough for something in STEM. And just a little bit background on myself, I went to a performing arts school for 8 years of my life. So from fifth grade through the 12th grade, I was classically trained in violin and piano, nowhere even close to the realm of what I'm doing right now. So first of all, it's possible, and I'm doing fine. So if you are a little bit concerned that, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I don't have enough experience in this or that or the other, you're totally fine. I presume that most of you watching this are pretty well prepared anyway, if you're, in Science Olympiad. So you're probably on the right track as is. But just to ease, some of that tension, if you have it, if you're concerned about it, like I said, performing arts for 8 years and then complete 180, and I'm doing STEM. So it happens, and that's cool. Something I did personally, I was really heavily involved in AP and dual enrollment courses, and this was hugely important for me. Not only because it prepared me a little bit better for the workload to expect in college, but I was able to get college credits before even setting foot on campus, right? And so ASU, in my experience, has been very generous with accepting AP and dual enrollment credits. I think I came in with about 20 credits. They counted every single credit that I had for something towards my degree, which was surprising to me. I took Spanish 201 and 202 in high school, for example. I never dreamed that either one of those would count towards my air traffic control degree, but they both did. And so as a result of that, I'll be graduating a semester early, which is a huge deal. So if you have the option to take some of those more accelerated courses, AP, IB, dual enrollment, those types of things, highly recommend it. Not only because, like I said, it'll prepare you for the workload that you can expect, but it will also help you save time and money in the long run if it's an option for you.
Perfect. Absolutely, Rachel. And I feel like most students understand how much AP and IB courses can actually help them. But you're hearing it firsthand from a student at ASU at the college level, you can see how much those classes actually did help Rachel herself. Moving on, we'll go back to David. David, what did you do during high school to prepare yourself?
First of all, I totally agree with what Rachel said. Personally, all I did for in high school to prepare myself for college was reaching out. If I had any questions about what I wanted to do or what a degree would be like, I reached out to certain people such as my friends, my teachers, or the schools and counselors to ask about certain questions. Even Google could be your best friend when you're just sitting in bed and very uncertain about your salary one day, like this is really what you want to do. All you have to do is reach out to people around you, and I'm sure one of them will give you the answer that you are certainly looking for. Maybe that you are uncertain about if this degree is too hard for you, or maybe that you think you are not going to enjoy it after you finish the entire degree. Reach out to your friends and see who has similar interests and what they perceive their degree would be like and how they see they're going to walk their career path. If not, then I'm sure your advisors, your club advisors, your teachers will also know that what it's like to participate in the degree program and what options you might be. I think I was surprised to know that my high school counselors know about a lot about STEM careers and STEM fields within colleges and really helped me and guided me through how to choose a school and how to choose a major and how to be successful. So there are a lot of resources obviously around you. even internet is very powerful. So just don't be afraid to ask. And when you are afraid to ask, maybe you can just do your own little research to better prepare yourself. But I feel like those are very critical to prepare yourself for college. Understand if everything that you wanted or the way you imagine it to be is what reality will look like. So that's how I prepare myself.
Perfect. Thank you, David. You know, ASU has many resources such as counseling, academic advisors, different people that can help you understand your interests and what you want to study. Then again, how David highlighted, friends and family could always help. High school counselors, I promise high school counselors know a lot more than what they give off sometimes. So if you guys have a good relationship with your high school counselors and teachers, I promise you guys will have more opportunities and more doors open in the future. Thank you guys for your answer. You know, we'll be moving on to the next question. Next question is, what is a typical schedule or a typical day look like in your degree program? And we'll start with Sai.
So cool. So in my major, as I mentioned before, I'm a computer systems engineering major. My day starts early at around 7:30 to 8, and I usually stock my classes early in the morning till early in the afternoon, like 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. at max. I'm not gonna have classes after that towards the evening. I prefer to do so because after lunch, I want to be able to take a small break and then continue to work on homework and some other assignments that I might have before the evening comes in. And then usually what I do then is around 5 to 6, I either have Fulton Ambassador trainings on Wednesdays, or I attend club organization meetings uh, to either the AI club or the SOTA. They usually have meetings on Thursdays in the evening for all of us to come and discuss about our interests or what's cool, what's going on in the industry right now, what the career outcomes look like, gaining a better understanding of what you might be doing 4 years down the line. And after that, I usually chill in bed, have some dinner, go to sleep, get ready for the next day. That's pretty
Absolutely.
much my day.
Thank you so much, Sai. You know, being a college student, we definitely have to highlight the need of sleep. You know, countless hours of studying, countless hours of quizzes and classes. You know, sleep and mental health is always important to keep ourselves the best we can as students at ASU. Moving on, we'll ask the same question towards Rachel. Rachel, what does a typical day look like in air traffic management?
Sure. So similar to Sai, most of my classes are early morning, early afternoon, but that's not typically by my choice. I would have scheduled them the same way, but my program is very small. I am in one of 4 aviation programs that ASU offers, and all 4 of them are relatively small compared to some of our other majors. Mine is one of the smallest. Most of my classes have about 5 or 6 students in them. That's how small they are. And so, you know, they don't have duplicates, you know, they don't have different times that you can pick. It's just the way that it's available typically. So my schedule is pretty much from 9 in the morning, usually till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm in classes, but most of my classes are not your everyday regular class. So at least one day a week, I have a simulator. So it's usually a block of 3.5 to 4 hours. So I'll go in, like I said, 9 in the morning, and usually by 1, we're wrapped up. Right now I'm in TRACON simulator. So that is, for those of you who are unfamiliar, terminal radar approach control. So when you get in an airplane, you're at an airport, there you see, you know, the control tower, most of you probably do. There are air traffic controllers in that. So then your pilot will talk to the air traffic controller in the tower. Then when you take off, you'll be switched over to a TRACON controller. So that's what I'm in right now. I'm also the teaching assistant for the tower simulator. So I'm in that simulator all the time as well, because I'm assisting a professor in that. So pretty much my day is spent like all day long, like at radar scopes and in really state of the art, really awesome simulators that have awesome like voice recognition capabilities, literally the same exact technology that you would see if you went to the Federal Aviation Administration's Academy in Oklahoma City. So ASU's definitely invested a lot in my program in particular. So my day is a little bit different. I don't really have many lectures. It's very hands-on. When it was, you know, my freshman, sophomore year, it was a little bit more of that lecture style. But now that I'm really into the nitty-gritty of my program, I pretty much get up, go to a sim for like 3 or 4 hours, and then I come home, and hang out with my dog and write, a 25-page paper for my international aviation law class, which is as dry as it sounds. So I hope my professor doesn't watch this, but that's pretty much my typical day.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. And as you can see, Rachel's degree sounds a little bit more strict than others. She only has a couple classes and there's set times and set dates, but ASU does allow you to create your own schedule. If you're a morning person, such as Sai or Rachel, you do classes in the morning, classes early at 7 in the morning. Or if you're an afternoon person like me and like sleeping in, you have your first class at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But every degree is different. All classes are different, and ASU is here to help you. Mia and Catherine, I promise we haven't forgot about you guys. This next question is for you. Catherine, starting with yourself. What is your area of interest, and how does ASU make it interesting for you?
So my degrees are in math and a psychology minor because I'm interested in education, which is neither of those things. So I am really interested in like the main question, why do students just get a really hard time in math, and how can we help them overcome this huge hurdle? Just for example, every time I say I'm a math major, all the adults in my life are like, wow, I was never good at math. And I'm like, that should not be the default answer. So a lot of classes that ASU offers, like Alejandro was saying, it's so flexible. ASU does not have just like one math education course. They have so many different courses about education. They have the typical, how do we teach, for actual pre-service teachers, how do you teach K through 6 courses, to theoretical research on higher education, education stuff. That's the class that I'm in, and it is really fun, not as cut and dry, but they have so many different like little mini courses. Even if you read like the class title, one of them was like, how do we develop online learning classes for the future? And you're just sitting here like, that's just an interesting course, and I've only read the title of it. So like everyone was saying, ASU has like billions of different courses. So whatever you are interested in, there is probably a course on it, or somewhere in the syllabus, there will be a chapter on it. ASU specifically has a lot of education courses for whatever subject you want to teach, whatever grade level, whatever different aspect you want to do, online, in person. Same thing with a lot of the math courses and the psychology courses, especially within the college. Our major map literally has like a general ed course section, and then after like your junior or senior year, they're like, just take courses that you're interested in. So ASU is very open in that way.
Sounds good. Thank you, Catherine. As you can see, she's a math and psych major, and she wants to help in education. That's completely different. ASU does allow you to mix and match degrees and minors and certificates, but then again, it all comes down to you and how you want to use your degrees in the future. Mia, moving on to you. How does ASU make your area of interest interesting for you?
Yeah, so for me, like I mentioned before, my degree programs are pretty different, but I really, really like that ASU caters to having different interests and allowing those to work together. So for me, I came in with math. I knew I was always more interested in the statistical side of that. So statistical programming, and I really wanted to apply that somehow. And that's actually not too hard because statistics is in everything, basically, especially research. So that was something that I was able to connect with my anthropology program. But what I'm truly interested in now is forensic anthropology and human osteology and archaeology. And so I actually didn't add my anthropology concurrent degree until the beginning of my junior year, so the beginning of last semester. Previously, I was a global health double major, and so I actually taking a lot of classes that catered to both of those degree programs, and they're in the same department, so it was really easy for me to switch over. But what's really cool is that program, or this class that I'm taking, is actually on the West Campus. So I split time during the week between Tempe and West. And this has been really for me, especially because one, I found what I really love, and working with bones and the human skeleton and creating stories like that is so interesting and so amazing for me. But with my faculty member, my professor right now, I'm actually going to be starting my thesis for my senior year, and she's going to be my faculty director. So I'll be able to work with her outside of the classroom, even post classroom stuff. So I'll be able to apply all of that and use my math program and my math knowledge and the data science courses that I will be taking as well to kind of meld all of that together and create what I really want to do, which is really, really cool. And I'm super glad that ASU has been able to cater to that.
Great answer, Mia. You know, Mia hit on a great point. ASU does have 4 different campuses here in the Phoenix area. We have the Tempe campus, the West campus, downtown Phoenix, and Polytechnic campus. And all campuses are different. They all have different degrees. They all have different classes. And as Mia just said, you can take different classes at different campuses, but it really is up to you to get there and actually attend those classes. But ASU has resources for that as well. So thank you so much for the answers. And we just hit the 30-minute mark. So I hope everyone's still interested and still paying attention to this. And I hope no one has fallen asleep by this point. Moving on to the next question, we'll move again with Catherine and Mia. Mia starting with this one. Mia, what challenges have you faced in your degree program?
Yeah, so for me, I kind of touched on it a little bit, but it was really the most difficulty I've encountered is just really truly deciding what I want to do and what classes I want to take. So for me, coming into college, I came in with math because that's what I was good at. In high school, I took a ton of AP classes. They were all very STEM focused, which was really, really good and really helped me out freshman year. But coming in, I was like, well, I'm here. These are the classes that I'm taking. But for me in high school, especially with math, everything just came very natural to me. And then coming to college, it definitely is a little bit of a culture shock. So my first semester, I was in Calc 3, and I was like, oh man, I'm one of the only freshmen in this class. I don't really know how this college lecture is going to work. What do I do if I need help? Like, I didn't know what to do. So that was definitely a little bit of a struggle for me and kind of running into just mental blocks and kind of coming to terms with things like, oh, this doesn't immediately make sense to me. What am I going to do? So that's probably one of the biggest things for me. And then really deciding and identifying where I can ask for help and who can help me out with these subject matters, and where can I find friends, and where can I create study groups, and where can I find people who have the same passions as me. So that's probably the main difficulties I've run into in my degree programs, but that's something that ASU has really helped me learn and become more comfortable with, reaching out for help and all of that stuff when I do run into some issues. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mia. You know, many different challenges, many different problems to face, but then again, ASU does help you through it. And then you just have to remember that you're at ASU for a reason, you're studying what you like for a reason, and hopefully that helps you in the future when you graduate from ASU or any university in that case into your career. Catherine, moving on to you, what challenges have you faced in your degrees?
So very similar to Mia, I also had this kind of culture shock when I got into my math program, because my main high school math experience was pretty much, I'm going to give you a formula, here's how we use the formula, and here's your test to figure out if you learned the formula. And the biggest thing I'm going to talk about more specifically with math, one of the courses that I am forever grateful for is learning how to write a proof, which is basically, showing that this formula works. And I had never had that experience before in my math courses, besides maybe a geometry proof where you prove that the triangles are congruent, maybe. So going into that class specifically, my advisors, I love my advisors. They're like, this is a different class than you've taken. So be ready. You're going to do great, but I don't want you to just step into this not knowing what's going to happen. So that has been, I love this course. I really put a lot of my hard work into this course, and it worked out well for me in the end, but that was a culture shock looking at everybody else. One of the questions I had was to prove that 0 was less than 1. So that's that course.
Yeah. Thanks, Catherine. You know, just many different problems, many different challenges. And then again, ASU is here for you, and they just want to help you be the best student you can and help you feel comfortable with your setting in your degree program and what you're studying. Thanks for the answer, you guys. Moving on to the next question. Rachel, this one's going to be towards you. What are some skills that you have developed as an ASU student that'll help you graduate and further into the future as you take on air traffic career or air traffic management as a career?
Absolutely. So I think a big thing, and this is not necessarily the most applicable to me specifically, but just I think to college students in general, is developing time management skills will be really a make or break, I think, for a lot of people. Shameless, shout out to the aviation programs. We really don't have much homework because, like I don't really have, other than, my aviation law essays, other than that, for air traffic control, there's not really much homework to do for that. It's just, practicing in the simulators, but still the key time management is going to be a huge thing for you. Particularly if you have an on-campus job, or if you're going to do a minor or a double major or something like that, you need to be able to have that balance so that obviously you can get your coursework done, but so that you also have time for yourself. That's a big thing. I think a lot of college students kind of take on to, and then suddenly you have 20 credits and a job, and you feel like you don't get enough sleep and you don't have a social life, and something seems to suffer. So I think those key time management skills is huge for any college student, really. Another thing is public speaking skills, and I think that also applies to really anybody. I know public speaking is a huge thing that a lot of people are really, really, really afraid of. And I get it. I was extremely shy when I was 10 years old and I went to performing arts school. And I remember I had to play my first piano recital and I was just completely shaking. I did not want to get in front of everybody. But I think those skills, whether that be joining, something like the Fulton Ambassadors, we give tours to prospective students and families. That's, public speaking experience, whether that's a literacy course where you're doing speech or debate or something like that. Those types of things, although they might be out of your comfort zone at first, they're a huge thing, especially when you get to job interview stage, internships, like those skills are really invaluable. And then you get to do stuff like this, and you get to come on and talk to students, albeit virtually, but still same concept. So I highly recommend both of those things. And I think regardless of what you're interested in, that will carry you through college, but also through your designated career.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. And I cannot agree with you more on time management. I never understood time management and how really important it was until I got to my freshman year in college. High school, I would love to say that I had great time management, but I really didn't. And once I got to the freshman year at ASU, I realized how much it hurt me. So if you guys want to take something into consideration and take those time management courses and different things like that, and different tips to help you advance your time management and make you a very nice and organized person in the future. Rachel, thank you so much for your answer. And we'll move on to the next question. And we'll start with Sai. Sai, what resources have helped you excel in your program throughout your years at ASU, such as office hours, study groups, networking, and different things like that?
Personally, for me, being a freshman, I spent the most of my first year deciding what program, what career I wanted to do 4 years down the line. And so to gain a better perspective, I joined a lot of clubs and organizations like the AI Club, Mobile Devs, and SODA, Software Developers Association. So through these organizations, I was able to meet with juniors and seniors who have already taken part in internships in the software engineering industry, and some of them even had jobs lined up the coming semester as soon as they graduated. And that gave me a huge ton of advice and experience about what the industry requires you to do and what are some extracurricular activities that you could do to boost your resume and make sure that you can be selected by a certain employer. And another thing that I like to emphasize on enough that people usually don't do is attending office hours. Gaining a working relationship with your professor is a lot more important than you think. A lot of students are pretty shy to ask something that they consider to be dumb, but it doesn't necessarily have to be so. You can go ahead, and once you knock at their door, you're going to keep coming back. And slowly, as you go on and speak with your professor, at one point of time, you're going to reach the point where you could consider each of yourselves to be friends and talking about drinking a sip of coffee and probably talking about the near future. You'd also have the opportunity of receiving their recommendation and as a reference, which would help you moving forward thoroughly as you move on to applying for internships and jobs.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sai. Great answer. And there's different resources, a lot of different things that help you at ASU. And now we'll move on to Catherine. Catherine, what resources from ASU have helped you succeed in your degree program?
So I completely agree with Sai. Office hours are the best things that I've ever been to. I like to tell students there's two options that are going to happen when you go to office hours. Either there's going to be nobody in the office except for your professor, which means you get one-on-one tutoring with them, or there's going to be more than one student in there, which means you get to have a group discussion about whatever you're struggling with and want to talk about, which is only going to benefit you either way. So there is really no downside to going to office hours. That's how I did so well in my proofs course. And it got to the point where I missed a day and my professor was like, were you sick that day? Because I didn't see you in my office hours. I'm like, no, I just had to play that. But the other resource that I wanted to talk about is study groups. Besides the office hours for my proofs class, I had a small group of friends that we all coincidentally sat next to each other in class. And every single week when a homework was due, we would all go to the library together and just sit there for hours doing the homework, talking through it with each other. Oh, how are you doing this? Oh, I don't understand how you did that. Proofs are one of the courses that you can have many different ways of solving it. So it was like a lively discussion. We would get dinner afterwards, and it was a really fun group to be with. Not only because we got a lot of work done and we were able to go into office hours with questions. Oh, Mia said this and I don't agree with her. What do you think? And then the teacher would talk to us. But it especially worked out. One caution I have for study groups, make sure you're in a study group with the right people. Because if you do nothing but, joke around the whole time and you don't get any work done, it's not a study group. But if you have the right people who are working all together, then it becomes a really invaluable opportunity to not only make friends, but also do well in your courses.
Absolutely. Catherine, I cannot agree with you more. ASU does this great thing. At the residential halls, they kind of separate them by the colleges. Tucker Hall being the College of Engineering students, Manzanita Hall being the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Hasayampa, being the College of Business. So once you're at the dorms, or if you do live at the residential halls, you do have people that might be studying the same thing, living next door to you or on the same floor as you, or at least in the same building. So you can make those study groups, you can make friends. So don't be afraid to talk to people in your dormitories or talk to people in your class. Those office hours, going with the professor and just making friends and making networking connections can really help you a lot in the future. So I know we've been here for a while now. We're a little bit past the 40-minute mark, and hopefully you've gained a lot of information from all of us. And we'll be moving on to the last two questions, and we'll try and keep them short and simple so that we can get you the best answers we can. So we'll start with David this next question. David, what is one tip you would give to high school students that want to study the same thing as you? So robotics or engineering?
For engineering students, I would say just to get yourself exposed and be observant. We are living in a very digital age. There are a lot of access to a lot of materials. So just maybe, look at things and then memorize how those things work. Be observant of things around you, things that, can be improved on, things that are working really well. And maybe someday you will just come back and use it. And that's one thing about innovation and being engineers, just keep on observing the things around you and think about what can be done to improve things and what were done or how are things made. And I think that would be a very good tip for engineering students.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. How about yourself, Mia? What is one tip you would give to high school students that want to study math or statistics? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I would say just in general, for anyone who wants to study math, and I'm sure Catherine can attest to this too, for both of us, our classes are full of students from across the university. So engineering students, physics students, so many different types of people who are in those classes for different reasons. So I would say that if you are interested in pursuing math is a very broad field. So you'll probably find an area within math that you find really, really interesting. And I would say the best way to find that is to talk to other people, see why other people are pursuing the same classes that you are. Maybe it's because they just need it as a credit as an engineering student, or maybe like this is a minor or something that they're interested in, and you can learn so much from other people that are in your classes, especially within a field that's so as broad as math is. So that's what I would recommend, is just to reach out, talk to other people, and you can learn so much just from the people around you.
Absolutely, Mia. You know, networking opportunities to the fullest and friends can really do help. And they really do help at the time of need, especially as a college student. So moving on, Sai, what's one tip you would give to high school students that want to study computer systems engineering?
So I think one important thing is gaining a step ahead of your peers. You could do so when you're in high school. I know you're already smart students taking part in the nationals and all. You could take up courses during the summer when you're free, such on platforms such as Udemy, or free resources on YouTube to learn uh, the language of coding. What that basically is implementing logic in a form that your laptop or your computer can understand, and uh, working on mini projects, according to my perspective, has been really helpful in gauging what you expect to see in courses in the future. And you could probably steamroll your entire first year if you could work on courses like the basics of programming languages during your summer. So you're almost through your first and probably a few semesters into your second year, um, working just one summer. How cool is that? That's also going to help with reducing academic stress during the year. So why not just get a leg ahead of your competitors and your peers?
Absolutely. So, you know, get ahead, get those classes, understand your interests, and move towards the university education. Catherine, how about yourself? What is one tip you would give to high school students?
Specifically for math, make sure you don't just memorize the formulas, understand what's going on with the math so that, you know, if you were asked like, oh, what does this mean? You can give it to them. I'm sure Mia can also testify to this. A lot of math, as you guys have also seen too, really builds on each other. I've had to go back to some of my high school math for one of my college courses and be like, oh my goodness, what did I say back then? So make sure, like, if a teacher says something, you're like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I can kind of understand it too. Sometimes there are formulas that you just are given and it's not nice. As Mia can testify, the normal distribution formula, ugly. You just know what that is and move on. But at least, you know, understand what you're doing. Don't just regurgitate it for a test because it's coming up and then put it on the back burner because you're never going to see it again, because math is one of those subjects where you will see it again sometime, someday.
Absolutely, Catherine. How about yourself, Rachel? Any tips that you would want to give to students that are interested in airplanes or air traffic control?
Yeah, so if you're interested in air traffic control, again, very niche, look up the median salary, just, you know, just heads up. Beyond that, I would say if you're interested in air traffic control, my biggest recommendation is go to your local airport, not a huge one, you know, like Sky Harbor, they're not going to let you into the tower. But if you live near a smaller controlled airfield, call the tower, ask if you can go up and see it. It's really, really awesome. In my opinion, some people think it's boring, but if that's something that you're interested in, I highly recommend going and checking it out, seeing it kind of before you get committed to it. If you like the environment, if you like what's going on, or, you know, they have liveatc.net, you can listen to air traffic controllers and pilots communicating in real time. So that's cool too.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Rachel. And, you know, salary does count. You know, we're all studying different things that we like. But I promise you that money is a way to go. Money gives you a lot of different opportunities, and I'm pretty sure everyone wants a big house, nice cars, and to be financially stable in the future for their family. Just to wrap up, one piece of advice that I would give to students that are nervous about college: don't be scared. Don't be nervous. College is here for you. College education is something for absolutely anyone, regardless of your interests, of your likes or dislikes, especially ASU. They're here for you. They're here for students, and they want to help you become the best student you can. And as we're coming up to the end, that was our final question. So thank you everybody so much for your time. Thank you so much for your attention. And I hope you guys learned a lot of information and different things from 6 different very diverse students and different things that we're studying. Again, congratulations on your placement in Science National Olympiad tournament. And I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope you guys have a great tournament. Bye-bye now, everybody.